Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen from the TechnicalTraders.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Jim.
Chris, does it look like we're into an interesting phase in the stock markets?
It does. I mean, we've had this incredible quarter, incredible rally in the stock markets from the March low, from people thinking we're all going to die, which was a pretty scary thought, to now everyone thinking everything's fantastic and just buying up every stock they can, and especially the big tech companies. But the markets are showing signs that they have run out a little bit of steam over the last month. They've got the June highs we now have to contend with the SP 500 and with the Dow and the Russell. And the market's slowly clawing its way back up to those June highs. But we are going to see some pretty big volatility, I think, next week when we start to get earnings rolling out. And I think there's going to be some very big mixed signals between traders and investors and what to do when those earnings come out. Because there's going to be some of the big tech companies like Amazon, which is going completely parabolic straight up. Everyone's buying it, expecting, it to have killer earnings, which it probably will. But we tend to see in the stock market, money rallies, moves into a stock when earnings are supposed to be good, and when the news comes out, the price typically falls afterwards. So even if they have good earnings, I think we could see the market pull back, and those big companies are very heavy weighted in these indexes, and that they're really doing all the heavy lifting for the stock market moving higher and higher.
Does that mean there will be corrections?
I believe so. I think even if we do get good earnings with Amazon, I think there's going to be a wave of profit taking. We could see a pretty sharp pullback, because typically when price goes straight up like it has with Amazon, it typically comes almost straight back down for at least half the move. And a lot of this, I think, is getting, a lot of people are just really frothing and chomping on the bit to own Amazon. They're chasing prices higher. And I get it. I mean, who isn't ordering most of their stuff from Amazon? I mean, they are not only just buying stuff, but they make a lot of revenue from hosting servers. They've got Amazon Prime. They've got all kinds of membership video services. I mean, they really are an unbelievable company. But I think we're going to see selling hit the market when good earnings come out for some of these leading companies. And I think the shocker will be some of these big companies start to get sold off, and then on top of that, the majority of stocks are going to have, or companies are going to have, probably very poor earnings. So I think it's going to throw some mixed signals when people see Amazon have killer earnings in fall, and then they hear about all the other smaller companies having terrible earnings. I think that could be a real eye-opener for a lot of people, and it could create a pretty good bout of selling.
Mm-hmm. And would this be a case then, take your profits now, then sit back and wait until the dust settles?
I believe, I don't think you need to take your profits. I mean, you could start selling some partial profits, but I'd be definitely moving your protective stop up. So every day it moves higher, I'd move it up to another previous day's low, or a couple days ago, that previous low, and just keep ratcheting it up, because, when we do get a bout of selling, just like we saw in early June, I mean, the stock market fell, depending on the index, anywhere from 4 to 7% in one day. And if the broad market can fall 4 to 7%, an individual stock can fall 15 to 25% in a day. So, I mean, there's going to be potentially some big volatility. You need to protect your profits by moving up a stop. You don't really want to jump out of it if the trend is rocketing higher, but you definitely want to protect your downside for when it does finally reverse.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Cyprus Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cyprus Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cyprusdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's going on with gold and silver?
Well, gold and silver, gold's been breaking out and it's holding above $1,800 an ounce. The day's not over yet. It keeps piercing through there and pulling back the last few sessions, but it's holding up above 1,800, which is a critical level on the chart when you go back to 2011, 2012. This is a really major resistance zone, so it is struggling, but the fact that gold is up at these levels is a clear sign that there's financial stress, there's global concerns, and people continue to buy physical metals. And you look how much physical gold is getting stored and taken delivery of the COMEX and in physical vaults. It's just incredible. So there is definitely a lot of fear, and gold is that kind of barometer. It's saying, hey, there's a lot going wrong, and people are trying to store their wealth in something physical versus a fiat that could just print itself to be almost worthless. So there's a very good sign for metals of what's going on in the markets, and gold miners obviously making a huge profit margin at $1,800 an ounce. They are moving up this week again, but the whole precious metal sector is very bullish here, but they're all testing short-term resistance. So 1,800 on gold, silver's at this resistance zone, which it's got a couple to get through. Right now it's trading at $18, $19. That's a major resistance. $21 is a big resistance for it as well. And gold miners are also at resistance. So we might see a little bit of a pause or pullback in metals, but overall they are still trucking their way higher. And the scenario here is kind of the perfect storm for metals long-term with what's going on in the financial world.
We'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after this.
Aben Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Aben's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at abenresources.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, what's happening in the crude market?
Well, the crude market's been, it's had a beautiful rally. It's rallied all the way up to a big gap on the chart. When crude oil broke down back on, I think it was March 9th, it had a huge gap down on the chart. And then from there on, it just continued to slide and went negative over the next several weeks. But that gap on the chart has been filled. Typically, gaps on charts have to get filled, and prices rallied all the way up. And about a week and a half ago, it filled that gap to the tick intraday and then reversed. And now it's trading kind of back up at that level, but with what looks to be a bearish pattern. It looks like it's hanging on a limb, ready to roll over and sell off. So with crude at resistance, potentially poor earnings, and on top of it, this is the more interesting part, is that you look at the XLE ETF. Now this is the energy sector ETF. It's down 19% over the last few weeks. And typically energy stocks lead what crude oil is going to do. Money usually goes into the highly leveraged plays before the move, and then they start getting out before the underlying commodity starts to roll over. And so we've seen this big pullback, and it looks fairly bearish. There is a downtrend in energy stocks. Crude oil is at resistance, and it looks like it's forming a topping pattern. And I think where it's kind of setting up for a pullback. I think energy stocks could sell off very severely. I think crude oil could have a big correction. It's at like $40 now, could go all the way down to 28. So there's a lot of potential here if crude does start to reverse over the next few sessions. There's a lot of downside potential there.
Mm-hmm. What's going on with Bitcoin?
Well, Bitcoin's been holding up exceptionally well, a lot like what bonds and what gold were doing, where they had this big bull flag, this big rally off the March lows, and they've been trading sideways. It's very dormant, and that's fine. The longer something trades sideways, the bigger the move should be when that consolidation ends. Because this is a bull flag, it is pointing to a significant rally. It's pointing to around 14,000, about 13,900 on Bitcoin. Currently trading at 9,300. So, we're looking at, a $5,000 move in Bitcoin from where it is. So, really interesting chart. It's still in no man's land, kind of just trading sideways, but if it starts to rally, it could be the start of something fairly substantial, a 50% move to the upside if it gets seen as a safe haven. Now, the last time we saw the stock market sell off, it sucked Bitcoin down with it, and Bitcoin collapsed about 50%. So actually more than that. So it's going to be interesting to see how it reacts. Is it going to start to hold up like gold, silver, and miners and become a safe haven, or is it just going to get sucked down with the stock market? And that's what we're kind of looking and waiting for, is which way is it going to break? Is it giving us any signs of strength when the stock market is selling off? Is it a safe haven yet, or is it just another asset that's going to fall with the broad market?
Chris, how would you sum up what's happening right now?
Well, I think overall traders and investors just need to be prepared for some really mixed earnings signals next week. I think there's going to be huge earnings, mega profits on some companies, huge losses on others. The key is knowing what those stocks have done going into the earnings. I think for something like Amazon, where it's gone parabolic, it's going straight up into earnings, you got to be really fearful that when the earnings do come out, that it's going to see a huge wave of profit taking and a collapse in price. And of course, if it collapses, it's going to suck the stock market down with it. So there's going to be people surprised with killer earnings, and then they're going to turn around and see terrible losses with so many more companies than the winners. So really, you got to be cautious, trim positions, and move protective stops into place, because things are going to get pretty shaken up next week, I think.
Chris, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show, Jim.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen from thetechnicaltraders.com. If you have any questions for Chris or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.